it's time for a Lincoln Tech Fix-It Pit Report. Here's Dave Reed.
And we're talking track conditions and crew chiefs and cars with Jim Oberhofer and how to navigate what has been a tricky track this weekend. It seems to be a little better now, but what kind of changes do you have to make?
Well, the track is pretty good. The starting line is pretty good, about 60 feet, and then from 60 feet to 330 feet, it's a little tricky. So you've got to be careful of how you apply the clutch in that area. But after that, it's not too bad. Then you couple it with some pretty good air. Even though it's humid here, it's a pretty tricky place to race, especially that right lane.
Here comes his teammate, David Grubnic.
Dave Grubnic and that man, Del Worsham, come to the line now.
I want to go back to 1971. I was 14 years old. My dad, we were on tour for the first time. We raced you in Epping, New Hampshire in a funny car. And you were the hottest thing on the circuit right then. And you went out and whooped my dad with a 690. And my dad was so mad. And I want to tell you, you probably don't remember the story, but then we raced you again in Saginaw, Michigan a few weeks later. And my old man, who never hardly hurt any parts whatsoever because he was pretty tight with the money, he went out there and blew that thing up. And he said, man, I beat that girl. And I'm putting cylinder heads in the garbage can. I'm going, Dad, did we really win?
Did we really win? Yeah, I beat that chick. Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah,
you had a lot of that back in the early days,
I
right?
had a ton of it, all that one could take. But, you know, he was on my case for a good number of years, but then finally came around.
Yep.
Finally, I knew that he was a friend.
Well, I think we all did, too, you know.
We just saw Dixon, and now we're looking at Del Worsham, Alanabi Racing. That's quite an effort. What do you think?
I think it's, what can I say? You know, it's wonderful to have that kind of a budget, but they made great choices when they chose their drivers for this team. So, you know, with this twosome, I would have to put my money on Del.
Where do we write the check? 389, 317 miles an hour. Shirley calls it right.
Just send
not a big effort.
Just send it to my website,
No
Shirley
problem.
Muldowney Racing, and it'll find me.
Speaking of Shirley Muldowney Racing, what's in store for you?
Well, I spent, my son John spent a year doing my new website, along with building me a 1940 from the ground up, a 1940 Plymouth two-door, not a coupe. But, I mean, it's going to be finally, after 40 years, I get my little pink hot rod that goes down the road. And it's going to be Big Al's, Toy Box. People built the engine chrome from the scoop right down at the oil pan. I cannot wait.
I want to ride.
Yeah, pink ostrich upholstery as well. So.
And John, your son, as well.
Oh. John will be in Norwalk, so watch out.
We'll see him there.
He's going to have his opinions, as always.